Now, we don't hate the media enough. We don't, because we all saw, regardless of what the mainstream media would play it out to be, we saw how they treated us at the Debates Commission. And I'm not a victim. I'm actually glad that I was there. I was saying to Chris Sims from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation earlier, before I jumped on air here, I'm actually glad that I saw it all happen. My feelings are not hurt at all, as you can very clearly tell. Sometimes I listen to CBC radio to remind myself why it shouldn't exist. And sometimes you don't want to get inside yourself and say like, oh, Rebel News needs to exist because we serve as a counterbalance to the mainstream media. Sometimes you need to test your hypothesis. My hypothesis was tested during the Debates Commission. I'm like, yeah, these people are insane liars. And I know why I need to continue the work that I do at Rebel News. It might have radicalized me a little bit more against the existence of the mainstream media, at least insofar as they take their money from the government. So they treated us poorly. Then fast forward a couple of days, they do it to Lorraine Brett of the New Westminster Times, Glenn McGregor. That lunatic. He said that she was a conservative plant, even though she's a mom with some expertise in addiction policy and issues. Then fast forward one more day, they're turning on Joe Warmington, the scrawler. They heckled Joe Warmington.
Our Joe Warmington.
Our crime reporter, Joe Warmington. And so he asks about the Policy Horizons Doomsday Scenario Report out of the Privy Council office, saying by 2040, we will be a society of serfs and aristocrats. And again, you'll be choking out a goose down at the local swimming hole to feed your family. And you might couch surf for the rest of your days.
Yeah. So, and Joe Warmington said, as a journalist for, I think he said over 40 years. I think he's been a journalist for over 40 years in Canada.
Like my life.
Really no more fair a man has there ever been in journalism, right? Joe is fair to an absolute fault. And he said he's never seen anything like this report in 40 years of covering the news in Canada. And so this is what Joe
asks about it. So Joe asks about it, and then the media starts heckling him. And I'm like, Joe, it was like that for 2 days. Like toddlers, I thought they would tire themselves out, but nap time never came. It never came. They just kept going. And I think it's because the CBC kept putting out treats at the back of the room. I'm like, quit giving these people sugar. They can't behave themselves. They did it to Joe when he asked this question about the biggest story in the country that day.
Mr. Poilievre, Joe Warmington from the Toronto Sun and Post Media.
Hey, Joe.
Nice to be here today. And
thank you.
I would be remiss as a reporter to not talk about what you talked about. And I want to talk about the platform, but just before that, you mentioned about this report out of the Privy Council.
Yeah.
Now, as a crime reporter, if you will, when I hear something like that, I cannot believe what I've heard. It's such a stark contrast to what you talked about in your platform. But I do want to go back, if you can address that, how that's going to help fix it. But that is the most negative thing in my 40 years in journalism that I've ever heard about Canada. I don't see it too many places in the media, and I think it can't be glossed over. So I'd like to talk about that and how you're going to fix that if you win on next week.
I think you're absolutely right. I am shocked that, like, this is not an interest group or an opinion columnist or even a think tank that has put out this report. It is not even just a government department.
Anyway, that was Joe asking a question, and he's a crime reporter. So when you are reading a report that says like people are going to descend into mass civil disobedience, they're not going to pay their taxes, they're going to look for other revenue streams, which means crime, and they are going to rebel against the system that is crushing them. It behooves a crime reporter to ask about that, by the way. And he said they heckled him and berated him. you know, like they did it to us, they got away with it. So then they do it to Lorraine. Lorraine is they're completely independent. So now they're doing it to, and I don't want to say Joe is one of theirs, but he does work for the mainstream media, and now they're turning on their own.
Joe,
he said, yeah, go
Joe
ahead.
is the elder statesman of
Yes.
journalism in
Yes.
Canada, and pox on the peons who would be mean to Joe Warmington.
So
An
nice.
absolute gem of a human being. Truly, truly. Pox on the evil little doers who would hiss and spit at him for asking a genuine question. You know, we've talked about this, Sheila, in the background, but so much of their vitriol comes from a deep place of jealousy.
Yeah.
That their handlers in their, you know, really cushy mainstream media, umbrellaed, elitist little circles didn't give them permission to ask questions like Joe did there. And here's a guy who has a little bit of leeway to make decisions and to ask these things on the fly. But truly, like, that they turned on Joe Warmington is really telling where we're at as a nation, because this is a guy who's like above reproach, like they
completely respected.
uh-huh.
He's in documentaries, at least 2 of them that I know about. And like, I'm in documentaries, but I made those documentaries. He's in documentaries where the documentary filmmakers are like, that guy is the journalist of note on this story. We must talk to him.
This is a guy who can. This is a guy who can talk about any topic about at length about to any person under the sun. Like, he's so nice and he's so affable and he's so. We talked at length about the Barry and Honey Sherman murders. That's where our relationship kicked off.
Yes.
We shared a big tray of ribs one time, and Joe, really, there is no more gentlemanly a man than Joe Warmington, and they were mean to them. So you know what? That makes me your enemy. That makes me your enemy. If you're mean to Joe, then you're going to have to deal with me and Sheila and
you
Sheila.
cross Joe, you cross us. You got that?
That's right.
This is your warning.
Right.
I hope I never see you out in the world.
What if governments are trying to reinvent the wheel when the greatest teacher of all times has already laid out the perfect blueprint for a constitution for a kingdom of love, faith, and freedom? Introducing the Kingdom of Heaven Freedom Passport. This special edition Freedom Passport captures the foundational truths of love, ethics, and freedom for all. It's a powerful reminder of Jesus' call to love one another and to be part of something bigger that you can carry with you every day. Join the movement, share the truth, and spread the love with your family and friends. Get your Kingdom of Heaven Freedom Passport at freedompassport.ca. And right now, all orders in North America come with free shipping and a free downloadable song with every purchase.